Hello and welcome to another episode of I Am Trans News. I am your host as always, Novana Alexandria Beta, and today I want to talk to you about the other 29 trans people who were killed in 2021. This article was written on June 23rd, 2021 by Street Roots and Real Change staff. It didn't say the exact person's name in this article, but they identified them as a group, I guess. I'm going to read the first little passage right here, and then I want to move on to saying the trans people that have died's names. I want to, I don't know who these people are. I'm going to be honest, 100%, I've never actually heard their names before, but I'm going to go ahead and say their names today, and I'm going to know them today, and you will too. So, hopefully you enjoy this video. Hopefully you send some prayers in and you'll know something about these trans people who passed away and who were killed this year, and you'll become aware, and maybe when you see a trans person, you'll look at them a little differently, like we're human. For the people who aren't trans that are watching it, for the people who are trans and are watching this, I just want to say that we need to be safe, we need to be cautious, always know what's going around you, always know where you're going and how you're leaving, and carry weapons on you to make sure that you're safe, just to protect yourself, not to attack anybody. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to read, like I said, the first passage. I'm going to read that now. The Human Rights Campaign tracks the killings of transvariant and transgender people each year. In the first 25 weeks of 2021, there's already been 29 or more gender variant and trans people killed in the United States and Puerto Rico. This is a rate more than one person each week among a group of people who make up only a population of 0.6%. So, trans people, I thought, used to make up 1% a couple years ago. I don't know if that has anything to do, if being, the murders have anything to do with the population rate going down so rapidly. But I do remember it saying 1% at some point in the past, not even in the too far past. But with that being said, I'm going to start saying the 29 trans people's names that passed away. Again, this article is from June of this year. I know there probably are some people who I'm not mentioning, and if there are, please let me know in the comment area so I can do some research on them and make a video on them. I want to make sure that I get as much information and detail as possible. Like I said before, I'm new to this channel, so please bear with me. Okay, and I appreciate you. Please make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell as well. Because I'm going to be talking about this stuff until the end of time, and I give this to someone else. So, okay. Tiana Alexander, okay, and she was a 28-year-old black trans woman who was shot in Chicago on January 6th. That's so sad. And then we have Samuel Valentine, a Latino transgender man who was killed in Puerto Rico on January 9th. I remember seeing that on Facebook. And it's crazy how it's like you think you're just gonna live one day, and next thing you're going outside, live doing you, and next thing you know, boom. It's so sad, and my prayers go out to all of these people who have lost their lives and their families. Blanca Muffin Banks, a trans woman who was shot in Atlanta on January 17th, and all these are in January. It's crazy, literally, like they said, it's like every week. It's crazy. Dominique Jackson, a 30-year-old transgender woman who was shot in Jackson, Mississippi on January 25th. 50 Bands, a 20-year-old black trans woman who was shot in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on January 28th by her intimate partner. That happens more than people know. the partners be abusive, and because they're going through their own things, and it's not an excuse, but it's like we want love too, and so we're finding love, and sometimes we can't help, loving that person and them loving us, but then things go left, and I've seen that story so many times. It's sad. Alexis Baxton, also known as Kimmy Icon Baxton, a 40-year-old black trans woman and hairstylist, was killed in her Miami apartment on February 4th. China Carrero, a 24-year-old transgender woman who was beaten to death in New Wilmington, Pennsylvania on February 18th. Oh my God. That is so sad. Sibling Jeffrey J.J. Bright, a 16-year-old trans boy, and Jasmine Kennedy, and 22-year-old non-binary, both from Ambridge, Pennsylvania, were killed February 22nd by their mother. Wright was a student at Ambridge High School while Kennedy worked at a FedEx. Both siblings were active in PRISM, a not-for-profit organization for LGBTQ plus organizations. JJ was part of our PRISM family, and PRISM shared on their Facebook, JJ was a beautiful person with the biggest and brightest smile. PRISM described Jasmine as a sweet, shy, and artistic soul. Not her own kids. Wow. Special place in Hillfall. Jenna Franks, 34-year-old white trans woman experiencing homelessness, was killed in Jacksonville, North Carolina in February. Gina was part of the Onslow County LGBTQ plus community center family. She was remembered on Facebook by her friends and family as sweet and a rock star. Diamond Kyrie Sanders. Hopefully I said her name correctly in the middle. Her middle name. A 23-year-old black trans woman who was shot in Connecticut March 3rd. Her family described many loving memories in her obituary that said in part she valued her family and enjoyed spending time with them. I remember seeing that one. Rihanna Pardo, a 26-year-old Latina trans woman who was killed in Los Angeles. I kept wanting to say Las Vegas. Los Angeles, March 17th. Rihanna was such a beautiful young person who just wanted to live her life and be herself. Jada Peterson, a 29-year-old black trans woman who was killed in Charlotte, North Carolina, April 4th. She was remembered as someone who was always smiling and cracking jokes. Most of these women are black trans women. Dominique Lucius, a 26-year-old black trans woman who was shot and killed in Springfield, Missouri, April 8th. One friend shared, "Many don't get to live in their authentic truth. You fierce, glam, and honey glamorous. I love you now, tomorrow, and forever." Oh, that is so sad. It just makes me want to cry. I gotta pull it together. Okay. Remy Fennell, a black trans woman in her 20s who was shot to death in Charlotte. Oh wait, I just read that one, didn't I? Dang, all these black women just getting shot. Like, what the? That was like, I feel like I've said that so many times. Oh my god, that's crazy. A black trans woman in her 20s was shot to death in Charlotte, North Carolina, April 15th. Fennell's aunt wrote of her. She was a bright young transgender woman who was just trying to make it and was doing it. She started her own business, graduated from cosmetology school. Yeah, she was definitely on her way. And that's so sad that people finally get to really live in their, living their truth, especially in your young 20s. She was really focused, so she was really doing what she was supposed to do. Tiara Banks, a 24-year-old black trans woman who was killed in Chicago on April 21st. Someone shot her while she was sitting alone in her Ford Fusion. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. And I'm sorry about that. For y'all who saw that, who noticed it. Nutella, yeah, I'm gonna say Nutella Smut, a 24-year-old black and Puerto Rican trans woman who was stabbed to death in Milpitas, California on April 23rd. She was a celebrated drag queen in the San Jose LGBTQ community. Okay, I'm gonna just leave it alone because her name threw me off. I'm so sorry for saying her name wrong. I'm sure I really said it wrong, but more love to her and her journey in her life. And she clearly was loved, and she loved making people happy. Iris Santos, a 22-year-old Latina trans woman who was killed in Houston on April 23rd. She was beautiful soul, her mother said. And she was only 22. Tiffany Thomas, a 28-year-old black trans woman who was killed in Dallas at a car wash. Not at a car wash. On April 24th, Tiffany is remembered as someone who had a big heart, was funny, and stayed laughing. Kerry Washington, a 29-year-old black trans woman who was known as Bobo. She was killed in Clearwater, Florida on May 1st. Her intimate partner was charged with her murder. Oh my god, I almost didn't say her name. Jahara Dialto, a 42-year-old trans woman who was stabbed to death in Boston May 2nd. Dialto was a well-known and beloved advocate of transgender people and survivor of domestic and sexual violence. She was the founder of Bertrand Transgender Day of Remembrance and the Bertrand Pride Festival. Whispering Wind Bear Spirit, a 41-year-old non-binary person who was Sean Lee by birth in Potawatomi, I'm sorry, I know I didn't say that right, by relation, was shot in York, Pennsylvania, while trying to stop a robbery on May 3rd, and they died earlier on May 4th. Family remember them on Facebook, with one sharing, "You are missed," and another remembering them as a beautiful and kind soul. Sophie Vasquez, a 36-year-old Latina trans woman who was shot and killed in Georgia on May 4th. She was remembered as the kindest person on the planet and someone who was truly beautiful inside and out. Danica Danny Henson, who also went by Prince Daniel and Nay Day Don. A 31-year-old black trans woman who was shot and killed in Baltimore on May 4th. One family member remembered that Hudson was always had a big heart and was loved beyond everything. It was loved beyond anything. I think I remember hearing about that. I just can't remember. I'm sure I didn't say her first name right. Danica. It could be Danica. Danica Danny. Serenity Hollis, a 24-year-old black trans woman who was shot and killed in Alabama, Georgia on May 8th. Her mother said that the person that was responsible has no idea what they took from us. I absolutely want to see that justice is served. I hope so too. I hope they got them. Oliver Ali Taylor, a 17-year-old white trans boy, died May 19th, was kidnapped and shot during a police-invaded shooting in Corvallis, Oregon, May 12th. He was involved in the Corvallis Future Farming of America organization in Gilroy High School. The high school held a vigil for Taylor May 20th. Taylor is remembered as an amazing child with a quirky sense of humor who impacted so many people. Thomas Harding, according to friends, identified as a woman in both feminine and masculine pronouns, was killed in York, South Carolina on May 2nd. She was black and 35 years old. Friends described her as someone who also kept you laughing. Poe Black was stabbed to death in Niland, California. He was a 21-year-old non-binary transgender man who also went by Oliver Jackson and Legend. He identified as a mixed indigenous and was, according to his friends, a member of the Wakan Nation. His body was found on May 11th in a homeless camp called Slab City, where he was a resident. And this is the last person, E.J. Boykin, a 23-year-old black trans man who was killed in Lynchburg, Virginia by a gunshot wound June 14th. Boykin was also known as Nova Watson. That's my nickname. That's what some people call me. They call me Nova with one name. A friend expressed that Boykin was loved and liked by everyone, and one of those people that was just good vibes and energy. Boykin was a parent of a young child, according to one source who may have been present at the scene of the shooting. So if you stayed through the whole video, I want to thank you so much and for going through each name with me and remembering them. I'm going to try to do updates and do videos on these people, on these transgender people. in the future, and just see if what's going on and make sure I give y'all updates and stuff like that, and give y'all new content, different content. And I just want to remember that. I want y'all to remember to stay safe, and trans people lives matter. It doesn't need to always resort to violence, Sometimes you can just leave someone alone and walk away. So, thank you for watching all the way through again. Please like this video and subscribe to this video, share this video, get your alerts on the video, so when I start making the next amount of content that I do make, you'll know about it. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I am